There is nothing unique about addressing a human rights forum by correspondence, or virtually. This is how things are done now. This is the new normal for a while. And we all hope that one day, as a result of the competent joint efforts of state leaders, we will defeat the pandemic and there will be no more virtual addresses. We will get to see each other again, shake hands, smile, and do our best to overcome awkwardness during small talk. But when that day comes, many of us still won't be able to attend. COVID restrictions aren't the only reason why me and many others can't be here now. While the world leaders may be good at solving certain global issues, their effectiveness leaves much to be desired when it comes to protecting human rights. I'm afraid that it will soon be considered a miracle if a well-known activist from Russia, Belarus, Cuba, or Hong Kong comes to the forum in person instead of sending a piece of paper from a prison cell. Everyone will be surprised and whisper, wow, how unusual, what an original person of unprecedented fate decided to stand out instead of going to jail like everybody else. Addressing the participants of the Oslo Freedom Forum, I'm speaking to the leaders of the human rights movement, who, more than anyone else, have the full right to say a massive, I told you so. It is true, you did tell us so, you did warn us. And you were absolutely right, and those who did not listen to you were immeasurably wrong. And I believe that every state leader should repeat these exact words to you. But instead, we hear different words from them. Over the past 30 years, how many tales have we been told about the miracles of authoritarian modernization? How many times have experienced diplomats waving realpolitik banners whispered in our ears, oh, don't pressure this dictator about human rights, you will scare him away. He's ready for economic reforms, and that's more important, you have to understand. How many times have investment bankers winked at us from the pages of business newspapers saying, so what if there are some tortures here and there? What matters is that the economy is growing by 7% a year. A whole religion arose, which can be called the witnesses of the second Singapore miracle. Many people from Washington to Frankfurt and London piously believed in it and continue to do so. Rwanda, Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Chile were the prophets of this religion. They repeat it like a mantra. Don't pester us with human rights issues, just fill the country with investments and we will surely turn into a second Singapore. But no second Singapores have ever appeared. Human rights defenders, who still have seats in the executive committees while being silenced more and more often, turned out to be absolutely right. There will be no sustainable growth and real development in countries where human rights have not become the foundation of the state. And as long as the observance of human rights in a particular country does not become a practical factor of domestic policy, no less real than the interest rate of the central bank, this country can at best be an example of temporary authoritarian growth, which will soon, inevitably, turn into problems and losses. The organization that I founded specializes in fighting against corruption, and this, evidently, is enough to make it extremist in the eyes of my country's authorities. Corruption is the root cause of many troubles and global challenges, from war to poverty, but the disregard for human rights helps corruption flourish. In order to steal something from a person, you must first deprive that person of the right to a fair trial, freedom of speech, and fair elections. An official taking a bribe and a policeman pulling a bag over the head of a prisoner tied to a chair are one and the same person. Their law is superiority of the strong over the weak, the superiority of the interest of a corporation over the rights of an individual, the willingness to commit crimes as an act of loyalty. I greet the forum, and together with you, I want and I demand that its voice is heard. I demand that human rights issues cease to be a formality and the last, most unimportant point in a communiqué of yet another leaders' summit. Human rights and the struggle for them are what politics should be about, not gas pipelines and the always vague security cooperation. The fundamental rule of world politics should be that if an action or an event does not lead to real improvements in human rights, then it is, at best, useless. You have told us so, and you were absolutely right. Thank you.